The sun hung low over Leicester, casting a golden haze across the cracked pavements and tired brick buildings of the old neighborhood. Matt Armstrong, YouTube star and car restoration wizard, was cruising through the streets in his beat-up but beloved Land Rover Defender, the kind of rig that screamed character over polish. His channel, with over 1 million subscribers, was built on grit, petrol, and a knack for turning rust buckets into dream machines. Today, though, he wasn't chasing a barn-find Porsche or filming a teardown. He was back in his hometown, the place where he'd grown up racing BMX bikes and dreaming big with mates who'd long since scattered. The air smelled of engine oil and nostalgia, and Matt couldn't shake the urge to revisit the back roads where he'd once torn around on 2 wheels, dodging potholes and angry shopkeepers. He pulled over near a rundown corner shop, its faded sign barely readable, and noticed a small bike repair garage tucked beside it. The place was a proper dive corrugated tin roof, tools scattered like a bomb had gone off, and a lone bloke hunched over a battered BMX frame, wrench in hand. Matt's eyes narrowed. Something about the guy felt familiar, like a half-remembered song. He killed the engine, stepped out, and wandered over, his boots crunching on the gravel. The mechanic didn't look up, too focused on wrestling a stubborn chain back onto its sprocket. "Mate, you open?" Matt called, leaning against a rusty toolbox. The guy grunted, wiping sweat from his brow with a grease-stained sleeve. "Yeah, just give me a sec. This chain's proper knackered." His voice was rough, tired, but there was a spark in it. Something Matt recognized. He squinted, taking in the bloke's worn trainers, the faded Metallica tee, and the way he handled the wrench like it was an extension of his arm. "Bloody hell," Matt muttered under his breath. Jack Harper?" The mechanic froze, his wrench clattering to the ground. He stood slowly, turning to face Matt, his face a mix of shock and disbelief. "Matt? No way. Armstrong?" A grin broke across his weathered face, and for a moment, the years melted away. They were kids again, tearing through Leicester's back alleys on BMX bikes, building ramps from stolen planks, and dreaming of owning a garage full of supercars. Matt laughed, crossing the distance in 2 strides, and pulled Jack into a proper bear hug, clapping him on the back. "Mate, what the hell you doing in this dump?" Jack chuckled, but there was a weight behind it. Life, in it? Didn't exactly plan on this. He gestured at the tiny garage, its shelves sagging under mismatched tools and old bike parts. The air was thick with the smell of rubber and degreaser, and a small fan whirred uselessly against the summer heat. Matt's grin faded as he took it all in. Jack, the kid who'd once outsmarted him in every school project, now looked like he was barely scraping by. His hands were calloused, his face lined beyond his years, and his eyes carried a quiet resignation Matt didn't recognize. They sat on a pair of rickety stools outside the garage, the kind that creaked under weight, and cracked open a couple of warm Cokes from a battered mini fridge. "So, what's the story, mate?" Matt asked, leaning forward. "Last I saw you, we were nicking sweets from Mr. Patel's shop and planning to race in the X Games." Jack's smile was faint, his gaze fixed on the Coke can. "Yeah, well, things went south. Mom and Dad, car accident when I was 17. Didn't make it. Had to look after my little sister Ellie. Dropped out of school, picked up a spanner, and here I am." Matt's stomach twisted. He remembered Jack's parents, kind folks who'd always had a plate of chips ready for the neighborhood kids. "Bloody hell, mate. Why didn't you say anything? I would've..." Jack cut him off with a shake of his head. "You were off chasing your dreams, Matt. Didn't want to drag you down. Besides, I got by. Old man Jenkins taught me how to fix bikes. And I moved here, set up shop. It's not much, but it's honest work." Honest work. The words hit Matt like a socket wrench to the chest. Jack had always been the straight shooter, the one who'd share his last quid or take the blame when they got caught messing about. Matt glanced around the garage, barely 10 by 15 feet, with a leaky roof and a floor stained black from years of oil spills. A kid's bike, half repaired, sat on a stand, and a pile of unpaid bills peeked out from under a socket set. "You're still the same stubborn bastard," Matt said, trying to lighten the mood. "Fixing bikes when you could have been an engineer or summit." Jack laughed, but it was hollow. "Engineer? Yeah, right. Dreams don't pay for Ellie's school books or keep the lights on." He paused, then added softly, "She's 14 now, smart as a whip, wants to be a doctor. I'm just trying to give her a shot, you know?" Matt nodded, his mind racing. He'd built a career on fixing things, cars, bikes, even his own mistakes, but this was different. This was Jack, his mate, his brother from another mother, stuck in a rut while Matt was living large. The street buzzed with life kids kicking a football, cars honking, and the distant hum of a lawnmower. Matt's Defender gleamed in the sun, a stark contrast to the rusty bikes leaning against Jack's garage. "All right," Matt said, standing up and dusting off his jeans. "We're sorting this. Not charity, mate, don't give me that look. A project. You and me, like old times." Jack raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "What you on about? I've got customers waiting. Can't just pack up." Matt grinned, the kind of grin that said he was already 3 steps ahead. "Customers can wait. You've got a BMX there, yeah? Let's fix it up proper. Make it a beast. I'll film it. Stick it on the channel. Show the world what Jack Harper's made of." Jack looked at him like he'd lost the plot. "You're mental. My garage is a tip, and I'm no YouTuber." But Matt was already rolling up his sleeves, grabbing a rag from the bench. "Don't need to be. You fix. I talk. Same as when we were kids, you did the brains, I did the noise." For the next few hours, they tore into the BMX frame like they were 12 again. Matt set up his phone on a tripod, hitting record as they stripped the bike to its bones. Jack's hands moved with a precision Matt hadn't seen in years, swapping out a bent crankset and truing a wobbly wheel while Matt narrated, his voice booming with the same energy that made his videos go viral. "Right, lads. Check this out, my mate Jack. Here's a proper wizard with a spanner. This bike's gonna be a rocket by the time we're done." Jack shook his head, muttering about Matt being a daft sod. But a smile crept onto his face, the first real one Matt had seen all day. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky orange as they worked. Matt kept the banter going, cracking jokes about their old BMX stunts like the time Jack tried a backflip and ended up in a hedge, or when Matt crashed into a skip and swore he'd never ride again. Between laughs, Jack opened up more. He talked about the long nights fixing bikes for pennies, the customers who haggled over a £5 job, and the fear that Ellie would have to drop out like he did. Matt listened, his usual chatter quieting. He knew what it was like to hustle, to feel the world against you, but he'd had luck, a camera, a knack for storytelling, and a bit of cash to start. Jack had none of that. By dusk, the BMX was transformed new chain, fresh grips, and a paint job Matt had slapped on with a can of spray paint from his boot. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Matt uploaded the video that night, editing it on his laptop in the Defender while Jack closed up shop. The title was simple, "Rebuilding a BMX with my old mate Jack." He tagged it with number Lester lads and hit publish, not expecting much. But by morning, the video was climbing 10,000 views, then 50,000. Comments poured in. "Who's this Jack guy? Legend. Mate, get him on more vids. That bike's mint, where's his shop?" Matt showed up at Jack's garage the next day, phone in hand, grinning like a kid who'd nicked the last biscuit. "Mate, you're viral. Look at this." He shoved the screen under Jack's nose, scrolling through comments. Jack blinked, bewildered. "What? People care about this rubbish?" Matt laughed. "Rubbish? They love you. And check this, some bloke from down the road wants you to fix his kid's bike. Says he saw the vid." Sure enough, a dad rolled up an hour later with a rusty kid's bike, handing Jack a tenner and a thank you. It wasn't much, but it was the first proper job Jack had gotten in weeks. Matt saw the spark in his mate's eyes, the same one from when they'd raced down hills. Fearless. "Right," Matt said, clapping his hands. "We're not stopping here. That garage of yours? It's a bloody gold mine. We're kidding it out." Jack protested. "Same as always. I don't need handouts, Matt. I'm fine." But Matt wasn't having it. Not handouts. Investment. "You're gonna teach kids to fix bikes, maybe even build them. We'll film it, make a series, call it From Street to Stunts." Over the next week, Matt was a man possessed. He called in favors from his YouTube mates, tool suppliers, paint brands, even a local welder who owed him a pint. They delivered a new workbench, a set of snap-on tools, and a proper compressor for spray painting. Matt paid out of pocket, waving off Jack's complaints. "You'll pay me back when you're a bloody mogul," he said, half joking. They turned the garage into a makeshift studio, stringing up LED lights and rigging a GoPro for overhead shots. Jack, still skeptical, went along with it, mostly because Matt wouldn't shut up. The second video was bigger, a full rebuild of a scrapped BMX frame Jack had found in a skip. They worked late, Matt's voice echoing through the quiet streets as he hyped up Jack's skills. "Look at this bloke. Lads turning junk into gold. Who needs a fancy garage when you've got hands like these?" Jack, loosening up, started bantering back. calling Matt out for his dodgy spray paint skills. The chemistry was electric, like they'd never been apart. When the video dropped, it hit 100,000 views in 2 days. Local kids started showing up, asking Jack to fix their bikes or teach them tricks. One even brought a drawing of a BMX with Jack's garage scrawled on it. Matt saw the change in Jack. He stood taller, cracked more jokes, even started tidying the garage without being nagged. But it wasn't just about the views or the cash. It was Ellie. Jack showed Matt a letter from her school fees were due, and he was behind. "She's got to stay in school, Matt," he said quietly. "She's the smart one, not like me." Matt clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You're smarter than half the blokes I know. And she's staying in school. I've got a mate who runs a scholarship fund. We'll sort it." True to his word, Matt connected Jack with a local charity that covered Ellie's fees for the year. It wasn't a handout. Matt made sure Jack knew it was because of his work, his story, that people wanted to help. The garage was buzzing now, with kids dropping by after school, some just to watch Jack work, others to learn. Matt started a series, From Street to Stunts, filming Jack teaching basic repairs, patching tires, adjusting brakes, truing wheels. Each video ended with a giveaway, a fixed-up bike for a local kid who couldn't afford one. The community ate it up. Businesses started calling, offering parts or sponsorships. Jack, overwhelmed, kept saying, "This is mental, Matt. I just fix bikes." One evening, as they closed up, Matt sat on the workbench, scrolling through comments on the latest video. "Mate, you're a bloody hero," he said, showing Jack a comment from a mum thanking him for fixing her son's bike for free. Jack shrugged, embarrassed. "Just doing my job." Matt shook his head. "Nah, mate. You're doing more than that. You're giving these kids something to aim for. Same as you did for me back in the day." They cracked open another Coke, watching the sun set over Leicester. The garage, once a symbol of Jack's struggle, was now a beacon rough around the edges but full of life. Matt knew this was just the start. Jack was back, not just as a mechanic, but as a mate, a mentor, a bloody legend. And Matt was determined to make sure the world saw it. The Leicester sun was relentless, baking the cracked asphalt outside Jack Harper's garage, now a buzzing hub of bikes, kids, and the faint hum of ambition. Matt Armstrong leaned against his Land Rover Defender, parked haphazardly across from the garage, scrolling through YouTube analytics on his phone. The From Street to Stunts series was a proper hit, 500,000 views on the last video, where Jack taught a gang of local teens how to rebuild a BMX crankset. Comments flooded in, calling Jack a legend and Matt a top bloke for shining a light on his mate. But Matt wasn't just here for the views. He was here for Jack, the kid who'd once saved him from a beating after a botched BMX stunt, now a man clawing his way back from life's rough edges. Inside the garage, Jack was elbow deep in a pile of sprockets, showing a shy 13-year-old named Liam how to true a wheel. The place had changed in weeks. New tools gleamed on the workbench, a proper compressor hissed in the corner, and a chalkboard listed upcoming projects. Fix Tommy's bike, teach brake tuning, build stunt ramp. Kids from the neighborhood hung around, some tinkering, others just soaking up the vibe. Jack's sister, Ellie, now 14 and secure with her school fees covered, popped in after class, sketching BMX designs in a notebook. The garage wasn't just a workshop anymore. It was a community, rough but alive, like a beat-up engine still roaring with potential. Matt pocketed his phone and wandered in, dodging a kid zooming past on a freshly fixed bike. "Oi, Jack, you're gonna need a bigger shop soon," he teased, tossing a rag at him. Jack caught it, grinning. "Yeah, right. This place is chaos enough." But his eyes betrayed a spark, pride, maybe, or hope. The videos had brought in steady work, enough to pay the bills and buy Ellie new books. Matt's investment tools, lights, a proper camera had turned the garage into a makeshift studio, and Jack was starting to believe he could be more than a roadside mechanic. That afternoon, as Matt helped Jack weld a custom BMX frame for the next video, a sleek black Audi pulled up outside, its tinted windows glinting like a predator's eyes. Two blokes stepped out, dressed sharp but off too much cologne, too many glances over their shoulders. The taller one, sporting sunglasses despite the cloudy sky, leaned against the car, while the shorter one, all slick hair and fake smile, strutted into the garage. "Jack Harper?" he asked, voice smooth as engine oil. Jack wiped his hands on his jeans, nodding. "That's me. You need a bike fixed?" The shorter bloke, call him Slick, glanced at Matt, then back at Jack. "Not quite. Got a business proposition. Private. Matt raised an eyebrow but stayed put, tinkering with a socket wrench. Jack led Slick and his mate, Shades, to the tiny office at the back, a glorified closet with a desk buried under invoices. Matt followed, not trusting the vibe. Slick pulled out a thick envelope and slid it across the desk. 10 grand, he said, voice low. Cash. And there's more where that came from. Jack frowned, not touching the envelope. For what? Slick's smile tightened. We've seen your videos, mate. You're tight with Armstrong. Big name, big influence. We need a favor. Shades leaned in, his sunglasses reflecting the dim bulb overhead. Simple job. Next time you're filming with Matt, slip in a story. Say you caught him fudging a car, rebuild cheap parts, dodgy repairs, that sort of thing. Post it online. Let it spread. We'll handle the rest. Matt's grip on the wrench tightened, but he kept quiet, letting Jack take the lead. Jack's face hardened, his voice steady. You want me to lie about my mate? For what? Slick chuckled, like he was explaining something to a kid. Doesn't matter. You do this. You get a proper garage, maybe a house in London. Your sister, what's her name, Ellie? She could study abroad. Easy money. Shades added. Matt's got enemies, mate. Big players in the car game. They don't like his spotlight. Help us dim it. And you're set. The air in the office felt thick, like the moment before a storm. Jack stared at the envelope, then at Slick. You think I'd sell out my best mate for a few quid? His voice was low, dangerous. Slick shrugged. Everyone's got a price. Think it over. We'll be back tomorrow. They left, the Audi peeling away, leaving a cloud of dust and a bad taste. Matt stepped forward, jaw tight. Bloody hell, Jack. Who are those pricks? Jack shook his head, shoving the envelope into a drawer. Dunno, but they're trouble. I'm not doing it, Matt. No chance. Matt clapped him on the shoulder, grinning despite the knot in his gut. Knew you wouldn't. You're a proper one, mate. But we need to sort this. They're not messing about. Jack nodded, his mind already turning. I'll call him tomorrow. Say I'm in. Buy us time to figure out who they're with. That night, Matt couldn't sleep. He sat in his flat, scrolling through X posts about rival YouTubers blokes who'd been salty about his rise, throwing shade in comments or starting rumors about his builds. Nothing concrete, but the pieces fit. Someone wanted to tank his channel, and Jack was the perfect pawn. Matt fired off a message to his mate Dave, a tech whiz who'd helped him trace a troll once. Need you to dig into some dodgy emails. Blokes trying to stitch up Jack. By morning, Dave had a burner email linked to a rival car channel, Gear Tickler, run by a bloke named Ryan who'd been mouthing off about Matt's fake restorations. Jack, meanwhile, was at the garage fielding calls from Slick. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, he said, keeping his voice neutral. Meet me tomorrow, yeah? He hung up, heart pounding. Ellie was at school, safe, but the thought of her name in Slick's mouth made his blood boil. When Matt rolled up, they hatched a plan not to confront, but to outsmart. We're not fighting these wankers in the shadows, Matt said, pacing the garage. We go public. Full transparency. Let the fans decide. Mech. The next day, Matt and Jack set up for a live stream, Truth from the Garage. They dragged the workbench outside, propped up a phone on a tripod, and went live to 20,000 viewers. Matt kicked it off, his usual energy dialed up. Right, lads, we've got something serious to talk about. Someone's trying to mess with us, and we're not having it. Jack, nervous but steady, explained the offer. Slick, Shades, the 10 grand, the lie about Matt. He held up the envelope, unopened, and tossed it into a bin. That's what I think of their money, he said, voice cracking but firm. The chat exploded. Jack's a king. Screw the haters. Matt, you've got the best mate ever. Matt leaned into the camera, grinning. Here's the deal. We're not just fixing bikes anymore. We're building a community. Jack's garage is going to be a proper training hub, free BMX workshops for kids who can't afford it. But we need your help. Got ideas for videos? Want to see us build Summit Mad? Vote in the comments. He held up a laptop, showing an email Dave had dug up a message from Gear Tickler's Ryan to Slick, laying out the smear plan. This is who's coming for us. But we're not playing their game. We're playing ours. The live stream ran for 2 hours, with fans flooding the chat with support. Kids from the neighborhood showed up, waving at the camera, and Ellie even popped in, reading out comments with a shy smile. By the end, they'd raised £5,000 in donations for the garage, plus a pile of bike parts from viewers. A local bike shop offered to sponsor a workshop, and a teacher from Ellie's school proposed a partnership-free BMX classes for kids in exchange for Matt and Jack speaking at an assembly. The vibe was electric, like the whole city had rallied around the garage. But Slick and Shades weren't done. They showed up the next morning, expecting Jack to hand over a doctored video. Instead, they found the garage packed kids, parents, even a local news crew Matt had tipped off. Jack stepped forward, arms crossed. "Told you I'd think about it. My answer's no. And by the way, the world's watching." He pointed to the crowd, phones out, live stream still rolling. Slick's face paled, and Shades bolted for the Audi, but the news crew was already on them, mics out, asking about alleged smear campaigns. Matt, grinning like a Cheshire cat, took the mic. "This is Jack Harper, lads. My mate, my brother. He had the chance to stab me in the back for a fat stack of cash. Chose loyalty instead. That's who we are." The crowd cheered, kids chanting Jack's name. Ryan, the gear tickler bloke, went silent online, his channel hemorrhaging subs as fans turned on him. A week later, he posted a groveling apology video, admitting he'd gone too far to compete with Matt. It didn't matter. The damage was done, and Jack's garage was now a legend. The real win came a month later, at the Garage Hero Day Matt organized. The street outside was closed off, lined with food trucks and BMX ramps. Jack, now a local celebrity, taught a packed workshop, showing kids how to build a stunt bike from scratch. Matt played MC, hyping the crowd, while Ellie handed out free water bottles donated by a local shop. The event raised £10,000 for a new training center, with a proper classroom and tools, set to open in Jack's name. A bike brand offered him a sponsorship deal, and his own YouTube channel, Jack's Garage, hit 50,000 subs, with Matt as his creative consultant. As the sun set, Matt and Jack sat on the ramps, watching kids try their new bikes. "Mate, you've gone from fixing flats to changing lives," Matt said, nudging him. Jack laughed, shaking his head. "You started this, you daft sod. I just held the spanner." Ellie ran up, holding a sketch of a BMX with Harper Hero painted on the frame. "For you, Jack," she said, beaming. Jack hugged her, eyes misty. "This is enough, Matt. More than enough." Back at his flat, Matt scrolled through X, seeing posts about Lester's BMX king. He grinned, thinking of the kid who'd once outraced him on a muddy track. Some blokes build empires with money or power. Matt built one with a mate, a garage, and a community that believed in something real.